Okay, so last time we left off on website development tutorial series. Yeah, okay, that was a pretty bad name for it. I showed you how to set up things you need to develop the website. There is one thing I forgot. You can technically use any text editor, but I prefer to use Sublime Text 2. You can download Sublime Text 3, although that's in beta. I guess you can download Sublime Text 3, but either way, you can Google Sublime Text 2 or Sublime Text 3. It will give you the same page anyway. And then you just select your operating system and download it. It's a very simple install, and yeah. So, in this episode, I'm going to teach you the basics to getting our first web page up and running on the web server. So, on AAA Web Host, we set up the URL of webtip.comz.com, and we get this default.php page. Now, we want to change this. So, what we're going to do is we're going to open up Filezilla, whether you have it on your desktop, on your taskbar, or if you have to search through it on your start page, or whatever operating system you have. And once you have Filezilla open, you want to launch the FTP server, which I called my web dev tutorials in the last tutorial. And then it will open up the default or the first folder. Now, on AAA Web Host, and it's different on every web host, the setup that this uses, or the way that the files are all structured and everything, is different for every web host. But for AAA Web Host, this is what it looks like. So here, following using AAA Web Host, then this should be the same. Although you can always set up XAMPP and do that. But I did it this way because XAMPP stopped working for me eventually, which is why the old tutorial series stopped. So on AAA Web Host, public HTML, basically however your host structures the FTP server, you want to find where all the base files go, which is here it's public_HTML, and you'll see the default.php page. Now, to set up this gets a little complicated when it comes to editing. If you right click and then click, let me redo this. To edit files in Filezilla, you right click on them and click View and Edit. You shouldn't see that page unless it's already open. And then mine opens in Sublime Text because that was my default editor. But by default, it's probably going to open up in like Notepad for you. So how do you change this? Well, there is one way you can do that. You go to Settings, Edit Settings, I think I just clicked on. And then you want to look for, here we go, File Type Associations. And I don't know what this is doing, but that's odd. Huh. Well, anyways, what you want to do, I guess instead of that, is you want to go to your, doesn't matter where, but you can go to your documents, right click, create a new text document. You want to make sure you can edit the file extension, and just create a PHP file, so it doesn't really matter what it's called, just .php. Now, click Open With, choose Default Program, and I'm just going to select Notepad to show that this works, and then I can click Default.php, oops, discard, and it will open in Notepad++. So whatever you have set as your default default program to open the file on your operating system. So if you set it to Sublime Text, it will open up Sublime Text by default. So what we want to do here is we don't want this default.php page. We want to delete it. And we may have to, okay, we're going to have to relog onto the server. And there we go. Now we're going to want to create a new file, and we're going to call it, you can actually call this whatever you want to call it, but I'm going to call it index.php. If you want to follow along with the tutorial and you don't know anything about web development, you probably want to follow along as well. Now, if you edit htaccess, which opens up in Notepad++, and you can change that again by rename htaccess. This may not work actually. Yeah, you must type a file name. Alright, rename anything dot htaccess, and then open with, oh crap, open with, use this app for all htaccess files. It depends on what your operating system is. You want to make sure you're setting as your default program Sublime Text. Perfect. Alright. So now if we view and edit and discard the local file, it opens up in there. That's interesting. Okay, settings, file type associations, delete that. Okay, view and edit, discard local file. Still wants to open up in there. That's odd. Okay, well, I guess it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter what you're using it in. Now, what you want to do is you want to add the line directory. Well, that's not how you spell it. Directory index, index.php. So what directory index does is, if you use an .htaccess file inside of a directory, and then you set the directory index using that htaccess file, what that's going to do is it's going to set the default page for the website. Hold on, now it has that. Okay, that's really wrong, and save that. There we go. So it's going to set the default page for the base, or for the root directory, to be index.php. So what this means, if I just type hi into the PHP file, and then reload the page, interesting. Save. Looks fine now. Alright, just remove rewrite base, whatever. It's not like it's important or anything. I don't think it is, at least. Probably, I hope it's not. And there you go, it says hi. Because we don't have, like, without that, or without a directory index, we'd have to type in /index.php and we get the same page, but we don't have to type anything, and that goes to the default directory index page and loads it. So we just have web.com and we see hi. So we're at 9 minutes, so we're going to wrap this up quickly. In index.php, or we're using a PHP file extension because in the future we're probably going to want PHP, and by default you can't use PHP in a .html file. So we're going to use the .php extension. You can use HTML in a PHP file. Just we're using PHP to leave it, or to make it easier for us in the future. So we don't have to do some stuff in htaccess to allow us to do PHP in HTML files, or how to convert all our HTML files to .php files. So an HTML file, or an HTML page, or all web pages are structured as HTML. That's what they all get. That's what they all get put down to. Whether it's developed in, well, it doesn't really matter what language you develop in. When it comes down to the web, or when it comes down to the web browser getting the web page from the web server, the web server is gonna compile it all into an HTML, all onto HTML format, and it's gonna give it to the web page for the web browser to render to the screen. So basic HTML, everything is going to be surrounded, and I'm going to actually zoom in a little bit by pressing Control++ to give you guys a better view of this. It looks like it automatically ended it off. So HTML tags, to open up an HTML tag, you do a less than symbol, the tag text, of course, and then a greater than symbol, and that opens up the tag. And then we have to end it off by saying less than slash the same text, the same tag text, and a greater than sign. So this opens and closes a tag, and everything we do is going to go inside the HTML tag. Now, there is another way that you can open and close a tag, which you don't ever want to do this for an HTML tag, but I'm going to demonstrate anyway. What this does, by putting the slash at the end of the opening tag, it opens it and closes it on the same line. Or, well, not on the same line. You're not able to put any information in the middle of it. So we'll get to that later, but that just closes it off. So yeah, we'll get to that later. But all the time HTML tags will be structured. Oh, it closes it off for me. I keep forgetting. Will be structured like that. Now you can indent if you want, or you can always not indent. It doesn't matter. It's not going to affect the web page at all. In when you're doing these. When you're indenting tags. Now, when you're doing a web page, gotta get that out of the way. There are two main tags inside of the HTML tags that will help you create, or that are needed for the web page. Well, they're not necessarily needed, but they are very highly recommended to do. The head tags and the body tags. Now you just saw there how you can close off a tag on the same line. We'll still be able to put text in between them, but we'll do that later. Indenting doesn't matter, but you need the head and body tags. So inside the head tags, HTML pages are like a human body. There are no feet though, but they're like a human body. The head does all the thinking, and then the body is what you see. So, in the head, we're going to do some code that will set our title. And normally, a title will be like this. We'll close out the tag on the same line. But this is where we'll be able to add text in between. Instead of putting a slash at the end of the first tag, by putting a closing tag on the same line, we can still put text in between it. And this is how we set our title. So in between the two title tags, we can set it and say, our first web page. And if we save that, and we have to upload this file back to the server in Filezilla, or else it won't make changes, you can see here now it says our first web page as the title in the tab. There are many other things you can do inside the head, like set a style sheet, set some meta tags, but we'll get to that in another tutorial. In the body tags, we can set, or in the body tags are what we see on the web page. Everything visually will go inside the body tags. So if we want to set some text, we could say P, and we could close off the P tag and type some text in between it, say hello world. Save that and upload it back to the server. You can see it says hello world on to the web page. And then there are many other things you can do inside this body tag, but that's for a different tutorial. I'm just going to show you one more thing. BG color. I'm going to show you attributes in things. So in tags, you can set what are called attributes, and depending on what the tag is, you can set different kinds of attributes. Attributes are set in the opening tag. You can't set attributes in the closing tag. You always set them in the opening tag. Now, you can set attributes in the opening, if you combine the opening and closing tag like I showed earlier, you can set attributes in that. We'll get to that later. And those will be used in things like images. But for now, we'll set the background. We want to set the background color of the web page. So in the body tag, we set the attribute of BG color, and then we put in, I'm going to type this out actually, just for demonstration purposes. We put a space. We can't type it as part, if we don't put a space, it's going to think it's part of the tag. We don't want that, so we have to put a space in between each attribute. And we say BG color equals, and then quotation marks. And inside those quotation marks, we'll set a color. Now, colors are set by hexadecimal colors, so it's a hashtag or a pound sign, whatever you want to call it, and then a hexadecimal value for a color. If you're not familiar with it, you can just use a website like colorpicker.com, and then that will allow you to pick your color. So we'll pick this nice color of blue, or we'll just that color of orange looks ugly. You can see it gives us a pound sign or hashtag, and then it's probably called a pound sign actually, so we'll call it a pound sign. So pound sign, and then 11D111. That is the hexadecimal value for this color you see in this box right here with these RGB values and stuff. So what you want to do is you want to copy that, and you can paste it in by pressing Control+V or Command+V, or right-clicking, pressing paste. That pastes that into the web page. So you have a pound sign and then the hexadecimal value for the color. I just moved it. And that will set the color. If you're familiar with hexadecimal colors, you can obviously do that yourself. But if you don't know much about hexadecimal colors, you can always use colorpicker.com. And once we upload the file back to the server, when you reload the web page, you can see that it sets the background as green. Thanks for watching this tutorial. My name is Hufflepuff from JayitInc, or Trenton from JayitInc, and I'll see you in the next tutorial. Goodbye.